Hey up folks, Doc's on 2Bad here. So, anyone remember Gary? He was briefly mentioned towards the end of my 2 toddler tantrums video. He was only a couple of years younger than me, we went to the same school. On the surface, we kind of had similar upbringings and experiences. It's kind of strange that he's ended up on my mind recently at all. But, over the past few days, there's been some discourse on Twitter. Because it's always on Twitter. Gaming is men's space. That's what they say, right? That's what they say, despite so many women working in the game industry. You know, your programmers, testers, sound designers, voice actresses, mocap models, even one of the founders of Team 17. Hell, we all know how I feel about Team 17. Between worms, headbangers, and golf with your friends, they have a fan for life. I mean, unless they pull some EA shite or something. That'll never happen. I hope. But yeah, in these gaming spaces, we trash talk each other. Well, I usually just let my skills speak for themselves and just say something once my opponent, or sometimes teammates, screw up. One time on Tekken Revolution where I sat in silence as a bunch of Irish blokes called me every name under the sun, then I smashed their chosen warrior with a continuous combo from Asuka and said, "Learn to block, fool," still lives on in my memory. Still, where does it stop being banter and start being something really damaging? Also, what does this have to do with Gary? The problem with trash talk in video games is that it's easiest for people to go down a slippery slope of rage. How many times have I been told to kill myself for messing up an ultimate? That's pretty unhinged, you know? Still, at least they wait until I actually mess up. The discourse on Twitter, because it's always on Twitter, has stirred up from a woman simply logging on and getting all kinds of hatred. Okay, so she unmuted some unhinged bloke for content, and I also learned that she had said that if she had a cishet son, she would indoctrinate him into not being straight. That's pretty unhinged too. But hear me out. The video in question where she showed that creepy bloke saying, "It isn't rape if I like it though." Ugh, my insides recoil just saying that. Anyway, that video isn't showing an isolated incident. I've been in plenty of game chats throughout my life, and I've definitely noticed a pattern. As soon as a girl shows up, a disturbing number of male minds take a hike. It's either trying to get with her or telling her to get the fuck out. Like seriously, she's just trying to play the damn game. It's no wonder gamers have such a bad reputation. I always used to hate the stereotype of comic book and game nerds dropping what they're doing to drool and stare every time a woman enters the shop. Well, what am I saying? I still do hate that stereotype. But the thing about stereotypes is they always stem from somewhere. There's no smoke without fire, right? I hate being treated like I'm some kind of threat just for being a man, but with the way some of you act, and the way you double down when you're told, "Hey, don't be a dickhead, dickhead," it's really no wonder so many women are choosing the bear. I mean, besides the bear being cute. There just always seems to be problematic folks who ruin it for the rest of us. Bronies get a bad rep because of cloppers. Football fans get a bad rep because of the drunken dickheads who riot and cause damage whether their team wins or loses. Gamers get a bad rep because of the perpetually angry / horny wankers who refuse to see women as people. Hell, men in general get a bad rep because of them. Women get a bad rep because of all the kill all men radicalized feminists who have forgotten that feminism is about women being treated equally to men. More on that topic, guys. Nobody is saying you can't have a wife who will do chores and raise a family. We're saying you shouldn't try to force her into that role. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. People have been really shitty towards me for daring to agree with a woman who said men shouldn't threaten to rape women. Though, a lot of them have just spewed the same shite over and over like NPCs. I don't recall standing in front of them and pressing the cross button. The ones who brought something different to the table were no better, though. Like, actually accusing me of agreeing with her about the whole indoctrinate her cishet son thing. And essentially making up a version of me in their heads and getting mad at actual me for it. Even if she said that in a half-serious, joking way, I still find it pretty messed up. Though, earlier in the vid, she says that she'd be terrified to have a son in this day and age because one day he could just turn out to be a misogynist and there'd be pretty much nothing she could do about it. I can definitely see that being scary. I'd be scared to have a daughter, or a kid who was trans, due to the very real chance of losing them to one of these unhinged individuals. I do actually think having a son would be scarier though. Losing a child is bad enough, but for your child to become a monster, you'd be the one who brought that monster into the world. Even if it's through no fault of your own, parental guilt doesn't care. See, I don't agree with the proposition of indoctrination, but I do empathise with her plight. I mean, imagine getting pregnant, carrying a son for 9 months, give or take, raising him for 18 years, also give or take, only for him to end up like some of the seething reprobates who have responded to me, let alone the ones who have slid into her DMs. Oh, what? You think I'm just talking in hypotheticals and have no proof? You know how easy it is for a man to become unhinged in this world? Look at the ones who listen to what Andrew Tate has to say. Can't believe he's still a thing. Can't he just go the way of Katie Hopkins already? Hell, just look at incels. Just look at me. Aha, so 2Bad's an incel, you may say. Well, no, I'm not. But I very nearly was. Hooray, I've broken out of another tangent. I'm finally getting around to what this has to do with Gary. So as I said at the beginning of the vid, similar ages, same school, similar upbringings and experiences, all that bollocks. Growing up, as you do, you start thinking about relationships, especially as those around you start entering them. I was never particularly very good with the ladies, so naturally all the boys would make me aware of this. They use it as one of the many excuses to treat me like a loser, and for far too long I believed them. I'll never have a girlfriend, never mind a wife. What's the point in me even trying? That's what I used to think. Looking back, I likely carried an attitude of self-loathing and desperation that didn't help matters. Why couldn't any of them see that behind the neuroses and desire to get the bullies off my back, I was a nice guy? Do you hear what I'm saying, people? I was a nice guy. Thankfully, I wasn't completely down the nice guy rabbit hole, as I always assumed the problem was with myself. Why couldn't they see what I was really like? You know how you can't see the yummy chocolate and caramel because the plastic wrapper's in the way? Same basic principle. It finally hit me in my 3rd year of college, after I'd had a girlfriend who had ended up cheating on me. Yeah, the fault was definitely with her. I'd done nothing wrong. But some git staring me down was all, "Oh, I have a bird, you don't." And I just thought, well, even if you didn't, you'd still be a prick. I was the same bloke with or without a girlfriend too. Only now, I had a wake-up call that just because there were faults with me, didn't mean the fault was always with me. And it got me wondering, Why all these bullies felt the need to validate their existence through the existence of somebody else. It made me buckle down. I didn't know when or if I'd have another girlfriend, but I'd always have myself. So, wouldn't it make sense to be somebody who I like? It really didn't seem like Gary had the same revelation that I did. Honestly, I was never sure why. I used to hang out with him quite often. Over at his house, which was in a nice quiet area still close to the city, he'd have any game he wanted, stay up as late as he liked, or he'd have an abundance of food and drinks. The lad wanted for nothing. In fact, he was pretty spoiled. He'd snap back at his parents and call them by their first names, and they just went along with it. I'm not sure whether or not it was because I was there, but I just remember thinking, dude, how have you not had your ass whooped? Yeah, we didn't have the same awareness regarding spankings back in the 2000s. I remember thinking, I was spanked as a kid and it never did me any harm. Just thinking that it did me no harm is a sign that, yes, it smegging did. Anyway, I don't remember Gary being told no on anything, but his decline started in college. He'd keep telling people that girls avoided him like the plague, and he wouldn't listen to anybody whenever they tried to help him. He even ended up making a few of my female friends uncomfortable because he'd constantly be on MSN dragging himself through the dirt with a massively melancholic woe-is-me attitude. He even had the cheek to blame me for his shortcomings. And then, when I had enough, he was all, so you're just going to abandon me like all the others? Dude, get over yourself. You told me over MSN that autistic people have no value in life. Do you get off on being wrong? He actually turned around and told one of our friends that I was apparently God's gift to women. Why? Because I had a couple of girlfriends and he hadn't? I'm not God's gift to anything. I don't even know if the smegger exists or not. Mind you, just how low must you be if you look up and see someone who at the time had just clawed his way up to the bare minimum and described them as God's gift? Never mind the fact that I got another girlfriend in college and she cheated on me as well. With him. Wonder why he never tried to use that against me since he apparently hated me so much. Anyway, I have no idea where he is now. But I think some people in my group do. Gideon mainly. That dude knows a lot. Apparently Gary's bald and an alcoholic now. It's pretty tragic, and I keep thinking this could have been my fate. I managed to drag myself out, but I couldn't do the same for him. Naturally, I chalk this down to me failing, but the more I think about it, the more I think perhaps he didn't want to be saved. Why else would he not realise that finally getting a girlfriend, winning her from God's gift to women no less, didn't magically solve all his problems? When you see someone in trouble, you instinctively want to help them. But if they don't want the help, then sometimes you just have to break away. Because all they will do is thrash and kick around and just drag you down with them. That's why I couldn't change his mind. That's why all these angry fools saying, "She ain't gonna sleep with you, bro," don't give a damn that I'm perfectly capable of agreeing with a woman without expecting something in return. They already have their set ideas, so arguing back at them is like the tiger and the donkey arguing over the grass being green or blue respectively. They keep arguing until the tiger goes to consult the lion. The idiot donkey tells the lion that the grass is blue, and that the tiger should be punished for annoying him. The lion agrees, even knowing that the grass is green. The lion's reasoning is that the tiger, a brave and intelligent creature, is arguing with a literal jackass. And on top of all that, the tiger bothered the lion with the question too. Long story short, you can't fix stupid. Now, The women being harassed by these jackasses want them to get banned, but they just keep getting told to mute, block, and ignore them. Yeah, that works great. Except the jackass has just gone and become someone else's problem. Some even refuse to take this for an answer and track women down. If you think this doesn't happen, then just sit back and have a think about how often people talk about doxing. Yeah, and that's just the cases that get mentioned. Still, this got me thinking. You know how some games have cheater servers, so if you get caught cheating, then you can only play with other cheaters? What about something like this, but for belligerent misogynists, racists, transphobes, any sexuality that isn't heterophobes, that kind of thing? Women would be able to stop men from making them feel harassed and unwelcome just for being women. And hey, if there are any women who decide to say that men deserve to be hakais just for being men, they can get shoved onto one of these servers too. You want women to stop invading men's spaces? Well, there you go. You can be shoved onto an isolated server with your own kind. The innocent women who just want to play the game won't be entering your spaces. They can just chill out with people of all genders who aren't hateful pieces of shit, and you lot can be as awful on the games as you want. Everybody wins. Well, until you inevitably get banned outright for violating the terms of service. You know something? This kind of lifts the weight off my shoulders. I've always thought that I'm not all that worthy of being liked. That I'm just some guy, you know? But writing the script and digging into my past has shown me just how bad I could have been, and that I managed to escape from it. I've become someone who isn't deserving of hatred. Somebody I actually like. If I had a daughter and she started seeing someone like me, the only thing she'd have to fear is whether or not they remember to inject enough insulin for that extra dessert. I'm actually glad that my mother got pregnant, carried us on for 9 months, give or take, raised him for 18 years, also give or take, and he ended up being me. Huh. I've been Dots on 2Bad. Thanks for coming to me Tit Talk, and I'll see you later. In a bit.